Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive right into the real engineering behind sizing a battery bank for a 5 kW inverter. If you've been looking into off-grid solar or home backup systems at all, you already know that a 5 kW inverter is an incredibly popular choice. It's beefy enough to run most household appliances, but sizing the batteries for it? Well, that's where people often make some critical and sometimes really dangerous mistakes. So today, we're skipping the guesswork and we're looking straight at the hard math.
It's literally the single most common question people ask. How many batteries do you really need? If you poke around online, the internet is absolutely full of overly simplified answers and basic charts. But the reality is, a 5 kW inverter doesn't just have one universal magic battery count. To answer this question safely and correctly, we need to stop looking for a cheat sheet and start thinking like true system designers.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to systematically break down the complex electrical math into an accessible journey. We'll start by tackling the battery sizing myth, then look at the core electrical formula, run a showdown between 12, 24, and 48 volts, break down storing energy versus watt-hours, and finally, lock down some real-world safety rules.
Part 1. The battery sizing myth.
So there is this totally dangerous misconception out there that your inverter power automatically dictates your battery count. You'll see advice exactly like this quote all the time. Just use 4 batteries for a 48-volt inverter. I mean, it sounds simple, right? 4 12-volt batteries connected together gives you 48 volts. Boom, done. But guys, this is a massive trap. Simply meeting that voltage requirement with a series connection completely ignores the really crucial current demands of a 5 kW system. Voltage is only half the story here. The other half is how much current those poor batteries are actually being forced to push out.
Which brings us to Part 2, the core electrical formula.
So the crucial point here is this core relationship in electrical engineering. Power equals voltage multiplied by current. But for our purposes today, actually, let's rearrange that. We really want to find the current. So current equals power divided by voltage. Think of this formula as your decoder ring. We already know our power is 5,000 watts, right? So if we know our system voltage, all we have to do is divide 5,000 by that voltage to find the exact DC current required from the batteries.
All right, Part 3, 12 volts versus 24 volts versus 48 volts. Let's actually put that formula to the test in a bit of a high-stakes showdown. If we plug in a 12-volt system, so 5,000 watts divided by 12 volts, we get approximately 417 amps of DC current. I want you to just sit with that massive number for a second. 417 amps. Drawing that much current from a 12-volt battery bank just to run a 5 kW inverter is totally staggering. It places an enormous, frankly dangerous amount of stress on your wiring, your fuses, and the batteries themselves. It's like trying to push a river through a garden hose. This is exactly why you'll almost never see large inverters designed to run on 12-volt systems.
And the math brilliantly illustrates the solution. Look at what happens when we double the system voltage to a 24-volt system. Our current requirement gets cut right in half, down to roughly 208 amps. And when we step up again to a 48-volt system, the current plummets to a highly manageable 104 amps. This is the absolute magic of higher voltage. Less current means you can use smaller cables, you get way lower electrical losses, and you're putting drastically less thermal stress on your entire setup. That right there is exactly why 48 volts has become the modern standard for residential off-grid systems.
Now you might be wondering, how do we actually build those voltages using standard 12-volt batteries? Well, a 12-volt system just needs one battery level. For a 24-volt system, you'd connect 2 12-volt batteries in series. And for a 48-volt system, you wire 4 12-volt batteries in series. 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12 equals 48. Pretty straightforward. But hey, remember that myth from earlier? Connecting 4 12-volt batteries in series achieves the 48 volts, sure, but hitting that voltage is literally only step 1. Your battery bank absolutely must also safely handle that 104 amps of discharge current we just calculated. If you're using lithium batteries, that 104 amps cannot exceed the limits of your battery management system or BMS. And if you're running traditional lead-acid batteries, pulling that much current that fast is going to cause massive voltage sag and permanently damage the internal cells. No thanks.
Moving on to Part 4, storing energy and watt-hours explained. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how it clears up a major stumbling block, the whole difference between the power an inverter pulls and the actual energy a battery stores. See, power, measured in watts, dictates the speed of the drain. Your 5 kW inverter is a super fast drain. Energy, on the other hand, is measured in watt-hours, and that determines your total stored capacity. Think of it as the total size of your storage tank. You calculate this by multiplying your battery voltage by its amp hours. So a 48-volt, 100-amp-hour battery gives you 4,800 watt-hours of runtime. That's 4.8 kilowatt-hours. So the number of batteries you need isn't just about feeding the inverter's maximum power. It's also about making sure you have a large enough tank to keep that inverter running for however many hours you actually need it to.
Finally, Part 5, Real-World Safety Rules.
Because engineering isn't just about making things work on paper, right? It's about making absolutely sure they don't fail, catch fire, or destroy your incredibly expensive equipment in the real world. Let's quickly fire through the severe consequences of getting this electrical math wrong. First up, battery overcurrent. If you use too few batteries for your load, you'll trigger your lithium BMS to shut down instantly. Or worse, you'll severely fry those lead-acid cells. Next, if you totally ignore your current calculations, you risk cable overheating. Pushing hundreds of amps through undersized cables, that's going to melt the insulation right off and create a massive fire hazard. And finally, if your battery bank is too small to handle the current, you get voltage sag. The battery voltage just completely collapses under the heavy load, triggering inverter alarms and causing unexpected low-voltage shutdowns right when you need the power the most.
Let's see how this all builds into our final, proper design checklist. Whenever you're sizing a system, you gotta do these things. 1. Satisfy the required system voltage. 2. Ensure your battery bank can actually handle the safe discharge current limits, whether that happens to be 417 amps or 104 amps. 3. Always verify your polarity before energizing to prevent any catastrophic sparks. 4. Strictly size your cables for the maximum amps. And 5. Make sure you install appropriate fuses based on that current. Following this checklist is what empowers you to build a safer, way more efficient off-grid solar setup, one that's based on hard data, not just, internet guesswork.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. What battery voltage are you running with your inverter right now? 12V, 24V, or 48V? I really encourage you to take the formulas we learned today, go look at your own inverter size, and actually calculate your exact DC current requirements. Honestly, you might be totally surprised by how much stress your system is actually under. Thank you so much for hanging out and learning with me today. If you found this breakdown valuable, be sure to subscribe for more structured solar engineering guides. Stay safe out there and happy building.